Hey, what's going on, my beautiful people? It's your certified life and relationship coach, and I am here to serve you guys yet again. It's been a while since I've done a live session. I apologize. I'm busy, but I'm here now. So if you guys share this live feed, if you guys are watching this as a replay, make sure you thumbs this up so that you can tell YouTube, tell the courts here, and he's trying to give scientific information that he feels people see his value, So I appreciate you guys for always being here. I'm going to go ahead and check in with my people. It's been a while. I got to get back in the saddle here. I'm sorry. It took me a while to set up my camera and everything. I was like, man, I am off my game here. I need to get it together. But I got a video I'm going to be making and releasing tomorrow. It's going to be about Valentine's Day. If you were someone that made the mistake texting your ex, happy Valentine's, your ex texted you, and they want to know if you handle this situation right. Tomorrow I'm going to be releasing a video that talks about that. I apologize. Hold on. Thank you for telling me that, Jack. You can barely hear me. All right. Like I said, I'm getting back in the saddle here. So apologies. All right. Did that work? Can you hear me better? If you hear me, thumbs up. Not. Yeah, I'm going to jump up. I lost a lot of people there, too. That's interesting. All right, so let me try something here. Can you still hear me? Or not? I'll switch. What about now? Can you hear me? Better? See, Jack here. Jack, you're going to be a awesome. All right. Give me 1 second. All right. 1 second. Like I said, drop the ball here on the issues. It's good now. We're good now. We're golden. I'm a little bit on an emotional high here because my LA Rams won the Super Bowl. If you guys have been living under the rock, so congrats. Shout out to them boys. If you can hear me, thumbs up. All right, let me know because it's been a while. All right, Tina Turner, thank you. Everybody, thank you. Let's get a check in here real quick. Let me guys know where you're coming from. I'm trying to do a live session at the time where people overseas are going to be able to get me live and in person. We're not having to watch replays because I know how it is when you're going through things and you're watching replays. And this is a celebration for me as far as like my team, my NFL team. If you guys don't watch NFL over across seas. But also like a good chance for me to talk about some of the people who really inspired me as far as like my spiritual growth and my relationship journey and, XYZ. Bob Proctor passed away. I want to say it was last week. Thich Nhat Hanh passed away weeks before that. I don't know if you guys know who that guy is. He wrote a great amount of books, kind of like the spiritual guru. Bob Proctor is more like the manifestation, law of attraction guru. And it's so crazy. Tina, is that my auntie Tina? It's good to see you. Thank you for being here. I know it's it's 1 o'clock. Here over in the States, it's 1:30 on a Tuesday. Not everybody can jump on, and I appreciate you guys who are able to like help me boost my analytics up here a little bit and help me reach as many people as possible. So one of the books that I'm reading right now it was recommended by Bob Proctor, and the name of the book is the Edinburgh Lectures, and it's by a guy named Thomas Trowder. Now, this is crazy because this book is Troward. This book is heavy, 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 heavy. Like it takes a lot of digestion and mulling over to really understand this book. It's called the Edinburgh Lectures of metaphysics, like meta science. And the reason I like this book, I feel like it's important, is because it's one of the great books that came out a really long time ago. I think it kind of set the standards for understanding the law of attraction, understanding the metaverse, understanding the objective mind versus the subjective mind. Um, just it's just heavy. Like I said, I'm really going deep into it. If you guys have any questions and you jumping in here, if you have any questions for me, if you need some guidance or something that's going on with your relationship, please feel free to do so. I just want to hop on here and connect with you guys again. It's been a while, and like I said when I first got in here, that tomorrow I'm going to be releasing a video. It's going to be around Valentine's Day. If you made the mistake of reaching out, or if your ex reached out to you, you want to know how you handled it, if you handled it well, if there's something you can be doing to, I don't know, if you actually want to get back with your ex. But I'm a huge believer that you should never consider reconciliation with an ex if you haven't healed yourself, or if that ex of yours hasn't done work either. Because when you get back with these people, and I've helped people all the time, I've helped people get back with someone they were with some before, and usually the reason that they want to get back with that person is because they know that they didn't put their best foot forward. They know that they didn't show up the way that they could have. They didn't show up in their full strength. They may have been triggered. They may have been reliving out some past traumas that they lived while in a relationship. They may have been, the saying that's going around is pretty popular right now is don't bleed all over someone who didn't cut you. So if you're in a relationship and some of those little subconscious wounds are coming up, and you're bleeding all over the person that you're with, you kind of feel bad once the relationship ends, and you want to get back in there and say, hey, I know I can show up better. I know that this wasn't my A game. I wasn't in my full potential. So when I do help people, reattract the person that they were with, or get back into some type of communication with that person, they usually feel like that person hasn't done work themselves, and they most likely don't want to be with them anymore. And that person is going to end up breaking up with their ex because they realize that because of the work that we've done together, because of them studying personal development, them studying about their attachment issues, their attachment wounds, how to heal those wounds, they get that person back and they realize that this wasn't something that was healthy in the first place. It's something I'm not even attracted to anymore. So if you guys have questions, you guys want to know how things played out with your situation and if things could have gotten better, I'm glad that the audio issue is better. Hey, so Tina, are you here on? Yeah, you're here on YouTube. If you guys are watching me from Facebook, do me a favor and jump over to YouTube. It just kind of helps me out with the analytics. The analytics lets them know that, hey, Court's live, and it wants to boost it. It'll help me boost it out to as many people as possible. So I really feel like if you share this feed and you can get as many people in here asking questions, because sometimes you miss things. You have a question that you forget to ask, and then someone else is in here and they ask the same question that you had on your mind, then I think it really helps. So the Edinburgh, how exes on Rebound feels on Valentine's Day. It depends on there are different phases in rebounds, all right? There's different stages. I got a video on there on this channel that talks about that. It depends on what stage they're in. If they're in the honeymoon stage still, which is usually the beginning of the relationship, that can last up to about 3 to 6 months, sometimes even longer. It depends on how much they're trying to repress the breakup. They can reminisce. They can start reminisce after about that 6 months to 12 months, especially when the flaws and the issues are starting to come out in the other person. Because when they first met them, they had like this perfect view on them. But if they're at the point where they're kind of reaching that power struggle phase, where They start to see that person for who they are, and that is what they painted it to be, because they had all that the releasing of all of the the brain chemicals like oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin. When that thing has started to fizzle out, and they starting to just go with the day-to-day operations, if they are still in that honeymoon phase, then they probably are feeling elated. They're probably you may be like a kind of like a footnote in their thoughts, especially if you were someone that really showed up on Valentine's Day, like you were really mindful about the things that they liked, about their food, their favorite restaurant. um, if you because me, what I used to do, um, I was pretty thoughtful, where I would think about some of the things that they really enjoy, like or something that they were looking at, like if they were browsing online and say, "Ooh, I like this," and I kind of put that in a mental note, and later on, I surprise them with that during Valentine's Day. Some certain things like that. That level of mindfulness, especially when it comes to men, that level of being present and just being thoughtful, which is something that a lot of women complain about men, that they just don't have that to them, where they're not able to remember certain things. I'm terrible too. Sometimes that can be really bad. I have a bad memory sometimes, especially when I'm buried and stuff like this, and I'm working. I'm trying to um, get to the next level in life. Certain little things like that I don't even think about. But I know when I'm in relationship with someone, I really care about them. That's something that's important to me, because that's something that's important to them, and what's important to them is important to me. But this is where I'm trying to heal, though, is being able to find that balance and keep that balance. So if they're in the relationship with someone and they're rebounding, um, they can have that release of serotonin and oxytocin for a while. It depends. It depends on how great this person is. And if this person is, like I said in the other videos, if this is someone that they see as more compatible than you are, then it's probably like no sweat off their back. And I hate to say it that way, but they'll probably be thinking that, like, well, this is what I always wanted. This is what I was wishing that my ex would have gave me. And we're talking specifically about women here, right? Men, I guess there's more of a spin there. One thing I learned about men, though, is when men are able to move on to a new person, they typically don't want to get back with the other person. Um, Especially if it was a situation where, because men were, I'm not going to generalize here, but a lot of men that I know and that I've coached, and that I've just encountered over my life, they typically don't like the dating. See, they don't like going out and just trying to find a new person. They don't like the dating scene very much, especially when they get attached to them. I mean, if we're talking about other people who are like more narcissistic, they're maybe players or whatever. Then okay, they may like the dating scene, but for the majority of the men that I know, they like that stability, they like that comfortability. Um, I call it the land of the illities, which is responsibility, accountability, dependability, all those good things. They typically don't want to go out and find something else, especially when they get later on in life, maybe younger, when you're in your college years. Um, I'm veering here off topic, but maybe when in younger years, when they're trying to figure things out, then yeah, then they may like the dating scene, but later on, they really want that person to be their person, and they typically don't leave. Like if you look at the statistics, 20 to 30% of men leave relationships. Relationships are ended by 20 to 30% of men, and it's more women. So um, that's a little bit of a nuance of a difference there. So when you're thinking about Valentine's Day for them, if it's a man in a rebound relationship, it's usually a situation where he will see some type of longevity there. That's if he doesn't have some type of narcissism or some type of um, need to have some type of validation from someone in a relationship. I don't know if that makes sense. In the honeymoon stage, you meet the representative until the true self comes to light. I love your teachings on DA. Yeah, you know what I said? I say, you usually get the house speaker in the beginning. Then you don't get to meet the president until later on. And the house speaker is going to be telling you everything that you want to hear. He's going to be shaking his head. Yep, yep, I totally agree. Heart faces, emojis, smiley faces. But then when you get the president, you're like, wait, the president's not delivering on anything that the house speaker was giving me. So I think this is kind of trash. Let me turn the light up. Like I said, I am really trying to get back into the flow of things when it comes to doing live sessions. I got a lot of different projects I've been working on, but as long as you guys are here and feeling like this is valuable, let me know. Thumbs up. Put a 1 in the chat if you feel like this is valuable. Put a 2 in the chat if you think this is garbage. And put a 3 if you have a question that you want to email me. My email is right here. I finally got someone to help me out. I have a virtual assistant. Now, I know people used to complain a lot about in the past about me not being able to get to emails, but I was only one person, so hopefully I can get to you what you need as far as like the level of support and guidance in the future. I also encourage you to book a session if you're really struggling, because if we're talking more specifically men, there's a lot of men that really, really, really struggle after breakups. I was on a live session with Apollonia Ponte. I don't know if you guys know who she is, but we were talking about that same thing is, after breakup, the duration of men that take to heal. I had a couple people I was working with last week, where a woman said that her guy wasn't over his ex-wife, and they had been broken up for about 5 years. And I said, well, if he didn't take the time to process that breakup and come to closure with it, then you see a lot of those guys, those ex-divorcees, struggling to have healthy relationships moving forward, because they have like this level of standards and they have this way of operating in the relationship where subconsciously they may even be expecting for you to be showing up like the ex-wife do. Because I know when I was married, we kind of slipped into those roles where, the wife, she made the appointments, the doctor's appointments, kind of took care of things around the house. And, I went out, cut the grass, took the garbage out, worked outside the home, stuff like that, the roles that we kind of slipped into. And when a guy comes out of a long-term marriage, I feel, and this is just something that I come to see as my truth, they really struggle to find their identity again. Because you got to think about it. When you're in a marriage, it's like a relation, it's like a partnership. It's like a business almost. I was talking to someone yesterday. I said, when they leave the relationship, or when the wife decides to exit it, it's almost like you lose your business partner. Now you gotta go through and you gotta do the bookkeeping yourself. You gotta do the filing yourself. You gotta clean out your emails yourself. You gotta do all that. And you're like, okay, this has just kind of drastically happened. This was, quick. Like the analogy I use is like, if you ever watched the Avengers series, when the whole series, for a decade straight, they were trying to prevent Thanos from getting all the rings, and all it took was one, I want a divorce, or 1.5 of everything disappears. Half of your job, half of your money, half of your assets. And we're not going to get into why this usually occurs, but we all know that it occurs 51% of the time. So thanks for the thumbs up. So when we're thinking about the men and how men really struggle after breakups, and I don't know if they typically do it out of like, if they're consciously doing it or if it's subconscious. I think usually it's subconscious, because like I said before, a lot of men don't want to go out and get back in the dating scene, especially when they call it like the second life. When a guy goes out and he finds another relationship after he had a long-term relationship, that is the relationship that typically breaks them. All right. That's the relationship that typically breaks, especially if it was something that they thought was going to come to fruition. They thought it was going to be their next happily ever after. Like I said, they call that the second life. They think they found their second life, because usually when a person gets out of a long-term marriage, they're like, you know what, I'm just going to no dating for me. I'm going to just focus on, if they have kids, I'm going to focus on my kids, focus on my career, and focus on recouping. Because let's be honest, once divorces happen, there are a lot of men that go through the ringer financially. So they're just really focusing on trying to, like, not going into bankruptcy or trying to split their assets or whatever. So yeah, most men don't really know how to express their wants and needs. Please learn to communicate from their childhood experiences. We learn our social skills from our parents or who was raised us. And that's just it too. You don't know what you don't know. So we're only as good as what our parents taught us. We're only as good as what their parents taught them. So whenever I think about childhood trauma, and when I was able to learn this stuff and like put some clarity on it, that's when all of the judgment stopped. All right. Because I stopped judging things as right and wrong, as functional, dysfunction. I started to judge it as, like, just see it for what it is. Like, it just is what it is. Whenever I used to mentor kids, when we did intake session, social workers would tell me, well, you got a doozy here. Hopefully you can turn him around. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to, I don't want to read the file beforehand. I want to go ahead and just learn who he is, sit with him and be present with him. And, I'll take it from there, because once you have these preconceived views on people, it kind of doesn't give them a fair chance. So whenever I come across somebody that are struggling like that, or society deem it's like whatever, I just want to learn who they are first. I want to know what their story is. I'm like fascinated by people's stories. At the when I'm at the YMCA, the elderly people, I enjoy talking to them because they have so much knowledge and so much wisdom, and it makes me wonder, what have you been through? Like, how have you gotten here? Especially if they're like saying that they're CEOs, they're retired CEOs, or they worked in factories for 50 years and stuff. Like, I'm just fascinated about talking to those people. It's like, and I've always been that way. Like, ever since I was like 9 to 10, I would just enjoy sitting and just listening to people, and just especially older people that have like a lot of experience. Like that, I felt like I related more with them, because the people my age and my generation, like, I kind of felt like an outcast. I felt like I didn't really fit in with them. Certain things I didn't follow, like certain trends, certain fashion trends and stuff. It just didn't resonate with me. So, the older people, like, those are the ones I just sit and just be present with, and just be enamored with. Because a couple jobs that I had, there was guys I worked with, they were in their 70s and stuff, and I would just sit and just pick their brain about it, any and everything, and it was so cool. Actually, I was at the YMCA last week, and one of the guys there asked me. He said, "What is it that you do for a living?" Because we see each other every day. He's like, "Hey, so what is it that you do for a living?" And I was like, "Well, I'm a life coach and a relationship coach." And he's like, I can see that in you." He said, "Today's my birthday. I turned 75 today." And I asked him, I said, "What is it? What's one lesson that you would give me, or one thing that you would want me to teach my clients if I ever worked with them, whenever I work with them?" And he was like, the Bible quote, because he said, yeah, I feel every bit of 75, but he said the Bible quote, "You are only here but a breath." I said, that's pretty spot on, because I think about, at the age of 39, I feel like I've lived about 10 different lives. Like, I've been married, I've been divorced, I've been engaged, I've been in drumline, I've been in ROTC, I've been a football player for 20 years, basketball player, drummer, rapper, like a bunch of different roles I've played. And I think about just how many lives I've lived, which is crazy. I've lived in multiple cities. I've traveled to multiple cities. Being in and out of multiple relationships. And if you really think, if you really reflect, this is one thing that really helps me get over breakups, and helps me understand that a breakup is just, it's a temporary moment in time. It's something that, I think about all the kids, when I was a kid, and the stuff I used to do as a kid in, middle school, high school, the people I used to date. And I think about, I always thought that was it. I always thought that was the end of my life. I'm never going to find anyone else. But it just turned out to be such garbage. And this is one thing I used to teach my kids, my mentees, is friends and stuff are going to be some of the most temporary experiences in your life. Like friends are temporary. If you think about, if it wasn't for Facebook, there wouldn't be a whole lot of connection. I mean, if it wasn't for social media, you probably would never see some of these people again in your life. Ex-girlfriends, ex-boyfriends, ex-friends. You probably would never see them again. I think that we're able to come to grips with like a friendship ending or a relationship ending. Let's think about it. Like you go to the grocery store and you have that clerk that's always been there. You've been going to the same grocery store for the past 10 years. And then that clerk says, you know, today's my last day here. And you may feel sad for a minute. You may get their cell phone number or whatever. You may get their Facebook, their Instagram, Snap, whatever, and say, I love to keep in touch with you. You were awesome. But you're okay with that relationship ending, right? Like you're okay with just letting that go. It ran its course. And I feel like it's the same thing with romantic relationships. Like they just run their course. What's up, man? Franco. He thought the grass was greener. Well, this may be cliche, and people say it all the time. The grass is greener where you water it. And you should really be watering yourself. You want to be the greenest grass. Period. You attract the best. You want to be the greenest grass so they don't think that they can go somewhere else and find better pastures. That's just how you got to think. And it may be arrogant, but I really feel like it's a way for you to make yourself the best option. Because when you're going into these dating scenes, like you want to be the best option. You want to be your best self. Because the only time when people start to struggle in a relationship and become insecure is when they know that they have some type of issues with themselves. When they know that they need to lose a few pounds, or they know that their financial situation isn't the best, and they know that they may not be the best option for that person. It's that limiting beliefs, that scarcity mindset that you have from your insecurities, and that's why those people who are really got it together, they're considered like, high value people, where they make good money, they have a good career, they're good communicators, they have a lot of status. They don't let their insecurities ruin that relationship, because they just feel like, well, I feel like I'm the greenest grass she can get, or he can get, and they think that's better out there. So be it. Good luck with your lawn care, baby. Tina, self-love is most important. Absolutely. That's what I do as well. I listen to my clients to get a better perspective of where they come from and to see where they are now. Absolutely. And it's so cool just to watch people's journeys, to inquire about it. Right now I'm up to like 80 countries of people that I've worked with, people that's watched my work, people who's gave me feedback, emails, quotes. They send me a bunch of stuff in my inbox to try to help me sharpen my skills, give me book recommendations. There's so many books I want to read. It's not even funny. You should see the list of books that I need to read. I was talking to one of my guys yesterday about this too. He's got a YouTube channel here. If you guys know who Black Book Basics is, go check out Black Book Basics YouTube channel. It's amazing. They're good people. How anxiety plays roles for anxious and avoidance when they rebound, and how to calm anxiety. I just got one of those Oculus yesterday. Okay. I was debating. I haven't bought a game system in like forever, because I don't play game systems, but my daughters, they really been wanting one. So I bought the Oculus for them for Valentine's. It's kind of like a Valentine's Day gift. And they got this meditation app on there, which is so cool. And the app was just like help you calm your anxiety. And I'm like, well, this is something that I do on a regular basis anyway. If anything, this will just help me change the scenery, so I'm not, looking at four walls all day. I can be looking at something cooler. Common anxiety, you really have to turn. If I have to say one thing that a person can do to calm their anxiety right now, is to, like I said, this is going to sound cliche, turn inwardly towards you. Like focus on your breathing. I was talking to a client the day before yesterday, And she was saying, how do I not freak out when this person don't text me back? Like, well, get busy. Turn your attention elsewhere. Turn your attention to your breath. If you're in a situation where it's getting real hot and heavy, and that you're probably going to be having that cold sweat. Because one thing that really traumatized me as a kid was public speaking, and I couldn't do it. Could not, even in college, I couldn't do it. Like, I would draw, still do to this day. Like, if I'm in a session where I'm really into it, I'm in flow state. Sometimes I start sweating. I'll have the bead sweat going. It's cold, like a cold sweat, and it's like that adrenaline pumping. But it's also, I don't know if it's like the fear of criticism, because that's one I was bullied as a kid, and where I grew up, it was Tina. No, she's my aunt in here. She'll tell you, it was just a brutal area. Like, it was just people are constantly making fun of each other, and we called it joning on each other, and it wasn't cool. But I didn't know that because I was young and I was impressionable. But at the same time, I kind of knew I was an outcast, so I would try to do anything to like get back in on the inside, aka assimilation. And that's one thing that I learned was assimilation isn't exactly healthy all the time, because you're losing who you are. I saw this study, by a neuroscientist that said when kids are born, they did a study on, like, I don't even know how many kids it was, but anyway, the study was pretty big. They did a study on kids and their genius at the age of 2. They said that like 90 to 95% of the kids were considered genius level as far as like their intelligence at the age of 2. Over time, you lose your intelligence. By the age of 13, I think they said it dropped to 30% or something like that. Only 30% of those people were considered still geniuses. And by the time they were 18 to 20, they were like only 13% was considered genius level people. And they were trying to wonder why that was the case. And I said, probably to myself, I'm thinking it's probably because of the assimilation that they have to do. They do a lot of unlearning throughout, I'm not going to knock traditional school and anything like that, but they kind of do a lot of unlearning. You start to think the same way everyone else think. And my daughter, she's 13. She gets it. She listens to me. She eavesdrops on my coaching sessions sometimes, which I don't exactly like, but I think it's cool that she does it. But she sits and she listens, and she said, "Dad, I'm going to be an artist, and that's just what I'm going to be. And I don't really see a need to learn any of this stuff." And I'm like, well, you have to pay your dues. Everybody pays their dues. Everyone has to go through it. But that's the issue. I think what she learned was, traditional schooling teaches you what to think, but not necessarily how to think. If you teach a person how to think, then they become a creator. Think about that. You teach them how to think, they become a creator. Like, and this is just out of the realm of relationships and stuff. But sorry, I got a coaching call coming up here. My apologies. Hey, Allie. Absolutely. We all have stories, and I like to sit up and study the English dictionary because I think it's so fascinating. If you break down the root word of history, is his story, his story. And we all have one. We all do. And I don't think I would have changed my story for anything. I mean, I've been through a lot of things, like literally a lot of things. And some things were self-inflicted. I'm not going to lie. Some things I kind of ran myself into a burning building, but I thought I was fireproof at some point. And then as I got older, I started to get burned a whole lot. I'm like, wait a minute, something ain't right about this. Maybe I should start reading books about, how not to get burned. And maybe I should start thinking of some fire retarding ways of thinking. And that's how I did it. Really changed my life. And what really did it for me is just isolating myself. I don't watch the news. I don't really watch TV. I don't do a whole lot. And I know it's kind of a not healthy way to live because life is all about balance. But I always joke. I said, my dream is to, move to Tibet and live in the mountains with the other monks. So, but then I think about, yeah, I'll probably get bored. I mean, I came from a place where there was a lot going on, so to be able to have that option is kind of nice. All right, I gotta go. I got a session to get here too, but listen, I really appreciate you guys being here, helping me get back into spinning things on the live sessions. Tomorrow I'm going to be releasing a video. It's going to be about, an email I got from a subscriber. I didn't want to do it here because I want to make it an isolated, focused based video. But thank you, Auntie, for coming. Thank you, everyone who's here. Franco, as always, good to see you. I'm going to have to make you a moderator or something, man, because you are always here. You've been here for a long time. Plays roles on anxious and avoidant when they rebound. I mean, yeah, so there's a big difference. People think that avoidance don't have anxiety, which they do. I mean, I've been told that before, that they do have anxiety, but the way that it manifests is totally different. It's like the fight or flight. When you're the mechanism where you get activated, where you either fight or you fly, and avoidance tend to fly, and anxious people tend to fight. But usually that fight is not really helping them out. It's like if you're out drowning and someone tried to come out and save you, a lifeguard. The more that you start fighting and flopping around and texting more and begging for more, you're just going to drown both of you. So you might as well just let go, live in flow state. Glenn, namaste, brother. It's good to see you. Happy belated Valentine's Day. I don't know if you got a Valentine's or not, but that was kind of my gift to myself too. I got that Oculus Rift, so appreciate y'all. Love y'all as always. Namaste. And like I always say, when you go be love, you'll never have to find it. Namaste.